guys, it's Theresa here of Larkin Design, and welcome to hashtag Scrappy Christmas in July. This is an idea that Tracy Fox, who is known as Scrappy Like a Fox on Instagram, and she's also part of the Facebook community for the Scrap Gals podcast. She suggested that for the month of July that we work on some Christmas projects. So I'm going to go back in time. I'm going to work on my 2011 December photos. It's not quite a daily album. So I hope that you'll follow along with me. In this video today, you're going to see I'm going to go through a process of creating the album itself. And I'm going to start here, and then we're going to end up in a whole different place. But hopefully you'll enjoy seeing how I get there, and you'll laugh and hopefully be inspired too. So let's get started. I have photos from the year 2011 that I never actually got to put in an album anywhere or anything like that. So I went through already, and I just have printed them out. I don't have photos from every day, but I do have a good interesting overview of December from that year. I think there's about 15 to 18 photos here. That's a really good amount for a mini album, right? And so it's not going to be a daily album per se. It's just going to be a December-ish album. And so let me tell you a little bit about my design concept for the album and what I'm hoping to accomplish in this video today. I sort of have gone through, and one thing that is different already about this year is that I'm not purchasing any new products for this album. I'm using everything that I have, or I'm drawing from everything that I have already. So I went through and I pulled my transparencies and vellums. I'm not going to do transparency in between every layout or every page, but I am going to have some transparent elements and using some vellums and things like that. So I pulled all those out. I'm not going to go through every one. They're just a variety of different ones that I've collected over the years and have held on to and whatever. So it's fun stuff there. You will get to see more of that later on. And then I have, these are some of my products that I pulled from Maggie Holmes. I'm going to be using a lot of Maggie Holmes products because she has so much gold in her collections. So I've just pulled some of the stickers and things from her collections. And then I have cardstock or pattern papers. And these, again, they're just a variety of different ones that I have collected and gathered in my stash. I'm sort of going with a pink, black and white, pink mint sort of color scheme. I think this probably, and a little bit of red, of course. I think that's probably going to be what my basic color scheme is going to be. And then for the album itself, what I want to do is I had these little card chipboard tab pieces. There's 3 of them. There might actually be 5, but I know for sure that there's 3 of them. And then, so they're going to be part of the album itself. And then I need to do a cover. And so that's what I want to do today. And what I think I'm going to do for the cover is something like this as a transparency with a pattern paper binding, and then another transparency for the back. Probably this little stripe, these are just little We Are Memory Keepers transparencies. They're normally at Michael's whatever. But what I need to do is choose what I want to use for the binding, for the cardstock binding. And then I'm hoping after the cover is done, those are the elements that I'm planning to put on the cover. Then after that, I need to plan like what each layout or what each page is going to look like, and if I need more. Some of them I want to be the chipboard, some of them I want to be pattern paper, and some of them I want to be pocket pages. So I'm going to do just a variety, but it depends on, because I already printed out my photos, so it depends sort of on what kind of photos I have to go, because these are smaller than 4x6, so that's going to impact like what kind of photo goes where. So, and I'll take all that, you know, each page at a time, and that's fine. So what I need to do first off is I'm going to set all the photos and these little elements to the side while I figure out exactly what I'm going to do with this cover. And so I know for sure, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be these two, the back and then the front. And I need pattern paper for the binding. Okay, so in my process here, what I'm doing first is selecting 2 patterned papers to use for the binding of my album. And so these are pattern papers that I'm going to put back to back and then adhere those transparency pieces to. And my thought at this point is to do a folded binding in a W shape. And so that's what you're going to see me doing here. And when I say that this is truly a process video, this is truly going to be the process of me figuring out how to make this functional, as far as having these pattern papers and the transparencies as a part of the album itself and make them functional within the binder rings. And so there's a trick to it. I will admit freely that I haven't figured out the trick, and so it takes me 3 tries to get this figured out. So first off, what I'm going to do is measure the diameter of the binder rings. It's about 1.5 inches, and I'm guesstimating here on how wide the binding actually needs to be. I think I made it about 6 inches at this point, and then I'm going to score. I'm scoring to make the W fold, and hopefully it will make sense. The reason that I fast forwarded this part of the video is because I think that it's more important to spend time on the process that actually worked, and this is the part of the process that didn't work. So this is where I get to tell you, don't do as I'm doing here. I don't know, there's probably, if you keep fiddling with this method, you can probably get it to work out. I ran out of these pattern papers and was running out of transparencies. So I had three chances to get it right. Hopefully you find that funny. I think it's hilarious. But most important, what I want you to come away with is a feeling that, you know, don't be afraid to try something and then to try it again to get it to work. Because that's a lot of times how these albums actually do come together, is by trial and error. And this is definitely a lot of error. So you can see here is where I have punched my holes. This is an old tool from Making Memories from way back when, before we had the Big Bite or the Crocodile, and that's what we used. It's actually like an eyelet setter or a grommet setter. So that's what I use to get my holes punched here. And you'll see once I put the cover in the album, I'm trying to figure out how it's supposed to go on here. There, I got it. I got it eventually. And once I got it on here, it didn't really work the way that I wanted it to. I tried punching the holes again, and then I deleted that portion of the video, but I actually cut the transparencies and cut that pattern paper again and tried it again, and it didn't work with that W fold again. So I'm going to re-strategize, and then I'll come back and share with you live what I end up doing. Alright, so one of the advantages of doing this all on camera is that you guys get to see my process and my errors, and you get to learn from my errors and from the process of creating an album like this. And so I've been struggling with the diameter of these binder rings, and I've looked and looked and looked online to see if there were any magic formulas or whatever, and I can't figure out that there are any magic formulas for figuring out what this dimension needs to be for your album. And I think it's probably just trial and error, just like I'm doing. So what's ended up happening here is I think I have it finally figured out where these holes need to be. Of course, it means I'm going to have to redo it for a third time, and that's okay. I don't have any more of this pattern paper, but I did find I have a little more of this, so I think that's going to be the outside, and then this is going to be the inside for the album. And so now you get to see the process, right, of how it comes to be. And so, you know, even though our finished albums might look like, oh, they're perfect and they just fell together magically, I promise you it doesn't go that way. So here's your proof. So I'm going to trim this off again. I'm going to do this again with this pattern paper and punch it again, and then hopefully we'll have it the way it needs to be. And yes, I measured to make sure that there's still enough of this by the time it's re-adhered. I'll be trimming off about 1/4 inch because we're making this smaller. So that's a good thing. And I will leave all the dimensions of this in case you want to do it for yourself. I would hate for anybody to go through this again. But if you want to do this for yourself, I'll leave all the dimensions for the album. They will be on my blog at larkindesigntm.com. And so you'll be able to check that out and get the exact dimensions for this and what I've figured out. This does end up measuring for 6x8 Simple Stories page protectors. That's what these are punched for. Other page protectors you would have to figure out, you know, where you needed to punch it. Alright, and then I think this has to be trimmed down a bit. As well. think that one is sized okay. This one was a bit long. I need to mark my center line again. That's not the center line. Nope, that's not it either. My math today is just so 2.5. 2.5. That's an 1/8. Here we go. Alright, do that again. 2.5. That's it. Okay. And make sure that this is upright. Yep. Okay. Let me punch these again, and then I'll be right back. Alright, ready to reassemble one more time. our moment of truth. One more time here. I think we got it this time though. There we go. We did it. Okay, and so one more step that I think I'm going to need to do is just score a little bit here so that this will lay a little bit flatter. It does open. And I can turn the pages. There. So that is the basic structure of my book. I'm going to just finalize those little things. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you back again soon. Bye-bye.